So we're live. We're live now. So namaskar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us live from the Las Vegas Vedanta Center. We're very, very happy to have everyone and some people also shown live as well and online. So we'll start with our chant as we always do. Om Sato Ma Sadgamaya Gamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityir Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to mortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. So welcome one and all. The class is titled Swami Vivekananda's Bhakti Yoga. And obviously there's all book by that title, but that's not exactly what the class means. Because if it's very interesting when you think about Swami Vivekananda, that he was a Gyan, he was a knower of Brahman, he was Shiva himself. Swami Thakur said that he was an incarnation of Shiva himself. But he had such intense, outside he was this austere Gyan with very, no deep meditations, and he could go into meditation for days on end, and you couldn't even rouse him. There's stories of him where I think Girish Ghosh was meditating with him, and the mosquitoes were bugging Girish, and he was getting very upset outside by the tree. And then he looked over at Swamiji, and he was covered in mosquitoes. I mean, literally covered, and he didn't move. He didn't move one bit for 2 days, they said. He was so deep in meditation. And so this was Swamiji, and of course, Swami Maharaj, Ramanandaji, used to really revere Swami Vivekananda because he was so deep, natural. Meditation was natural to him. And of course, when he first met Thakur, he was able to give him immediately the non-dual experience of Brahman. So this is a very interesting situation. And when you think about bhakti, you think about devotion and the dualistic approach to God. So of course, Thakur himself was the embodiment of both Jnana and bhakti. And even when he had the experience of Brahman, he was able to come back and still had that beautiful relationship with Ma Kali, where he would go into the temple and be drunk and come walking out even after the experience of Brahman. So when I was thinking about Swami Vivekananda and Bhakti Yoga, it really gives us a balance of both Bhakti and Advaita. And how does that work? You either have one or the other. And there's some interesting writings that I have. They say Swami Vivekananda was a Gyan outside, but inside all Bhakti. He had such the softest heart. If anybody was talking about suffering or other sufferings, he would weep easily. He would really feel intense. The sufferings of others really affected him deeply. So I thought that I would read something from Bhakti Yoga. And this isn't a class on the book, but we will use it. And then I thought we would chant a little bit to get into Bhakti ourselves. But this is something that he talks about. And in this book, he was talking about Ramanuja, which is more of the qualified non-dualism. But then he talks about Shankara.
What page is that?
It's 15. But I'm just, if you want to follow along, but I'm just going to read a little bit.
Okay.
So that you won't have to do that. I'm just going to use this to bring what Swami wrote about this. So he's talking about Shankara and how Shankara fits into the Bhakti idea. So we now try to understand what the great representative of the Advaita school has to say on the point about Bhakti. And we shall see how the Advaita system maintains all the hopes and aspirations of the dualist intact. So he said there's a place in Advaita for this dualistic, beautiful relationship with God or with the divine. And at the same time propounds its own solution of the problem in consonance with the high density of the divine humanity, Those who aspire to retain their individual mind even after liberation and to remain distinct will have ample opportunity of realizing their aspirations and enjoying the blessings of the qualified Brahman. So here he's giving us directly what his state basically in Thakur's. Even after the realization of the non-dual Brahman, those who want to retain their own individuality, that's also a path. That's also, there's a place for that. So this is really powerful writings in a few sentences. These are they who have spoken of in the Bhagavata Puranas, thus, O king, such are the glorious qualities of the Lord, that the sages whose only pleasure is in the self, and from whom all fetters have fallen off, even they love the omnipresent with the love that's for the love's sake, love that's for love's sake. So even those who have gone beyond the dual nature of all creation in themselves, they also can feel the omnipresent love for love's sake. These are they who are spoken of by the Shankayas as getting merged in nature in this cycle, so that after attaining perfection, they may come out into the next as lords of world systems. But none of these ever becomes equal to God, Ishvara. Those who attain to that state, where there is neither creation, nor created, nor creator, where knowledge, where there is neither knower, nor knowable, nor knowledge, where there is neither I, nor thou, nor he, where there is neither subject, nor object, nor relation, there who is seen by whom. Such persons have gone beyond everything, to where words cannot go, nor mind. Gone to that status, the Shrutis declare as not this, not this. But for those who cannot or will not reach this state, there will inevitably remain the triune vision of the one undifferentiated Brahman as nature, soul, and the interpenetrating sustainer of both, Ishvara. So this is quite interesting. So, obviously, Vedanta society, especially Swami Vivekananda talks about this. This non-dual idea of going beyond, and even Swami Sri Ramakrishna said, those who want Brahmajnana, let them have Brahmajnana. As for me, I like to eat, drink, and be merry. So, of course, he was an knower of Brahman. He was a knower of everything. He was embodiment of every state of consciousness, of every part of possibilities, of unlimited possibilities. But there is those places.
He was Brahman himself.
Mm-hmm. So he was the expression of everything. But there is those, and it was stated by a lot of the Swamis, that there is a space, a place for those who do not want that total annihilation of the self. All they want is a sweet relationship with their beloved Lord. However, they have visualized that being as Divine Mother, perhaps as Krishna or Rama or any of the divine forms. And so they want an eternity with their Lord as just devotees, perfect devotees of adoration and love, and that sweet relationship. So this is really something very profound. And Swami Sri Ramakrishna said, and this I think is really sweet too. He said, take the knowledge of non-dualism and tie it in your cloth, the corner of your cloth, and then do as you please. And so this is really also important because I was mentioning before, when we have all of these different conceptions of dual relationships and us and this divine being, and another being could have a different complete relationship, and they have completely different conceptions of their Ishta, of their divine conceptions of the divine. There really can be some conflict there, right? My Ishta, no, yours is not as good as mine, and all these types of things. It's not a perfect, pure inner relationship, especially in these worlds, in these lower worlds. I'm sure in the higher worlds there's harmony and unity, but this is why when Sri Ramakrishna came, he came with such a powerful solution to the problems that we have. Because our problems are just like we said, any dualistic worship, and there's other dualistic worships, there's going to be, when there's separate beings and there's not unity of this Advaita idea underlying everything, this Turiya idea of underlying the same consciousness, the same awareness that all of these things arise from. There is the possibility and there's the reality of all these conflicts. And so all of the problems that we have are really resolved by what Sri Ramakrishna initiated in this world. And I suspect that we don't really understand very much of what he gave us. Like Swamiji said, nobody knew what Sri Ramakrishna really was. It's really, beyond our abilities in this state, in this stage of the world. Maybe in higher ages and higher yugas there'll be. But I think he gave a really profound example of this, the solution to the problem of this conflict that we always have in this world. Taking that idea of Advaita and tying it into the corner of your cloth. Even in the dualistic, that's why even with the dualists, there has to be an underlying understanding of all of these things are rising out of the same Satchidananda. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. So this is the solution, all one Satchidananda, infinite expressions of this same essence. So this is kind of interesting. Now, I just thought, we'll do some chanting, and I just thought I would read ones, and then we have some different things we'll read through this session. It won't be a long one, just 1 hour today, I think. But we'll do chanting, and we'll have some meditation and so on. But this is a little bit of kind of a hint about Swamiji's inner state. Swamiji had immense love for the boys. And these are the boys who became monks, who came to the monastery to left everything in order to become. He said, who had come to him at Belurmat, leaving hearth and home to become monks. Once a Western devotee presented a fancy glass to Swamiji. He asked a young disciple to make orange juice in that glass, but he accidentally broke it. A senior monk loudly reprimanded the young disciple. When Swamiji heard about it, he said to the senior monk, "When we went to the master, he made us his own by pouring love in us. These boys have come here, leaving their families and homes. Is it not right to scold them It is not right to scold them harshly. How can they stay here? A glass ends up that way. It does not die from cholera or tuberculosis." Swamiji had limitless love and affection for those who had renounced home. He considered himself to be the servant of those who had renounced everything in the name of Sri Ramakrishna. And this is another part. One of Swamiji's attendants at Belurmat had a fever with 104-degree Fahrenheit temperature, which is about as high as it goes, I think. Swamiji called me and said, "My son, please bring a little Charanamrita, sanctified water, of the master for this boy." I smiled at this, wondering how Charanamrita could cure the fever. Because Swamiji had ordered me to, I was about to go to the shrine. Swamiji sensed my attitude and said, "You can go. You will not have to bring it." He himself went to the shrine, brought the Charanamrita, and fed the patient. And the patient was cured. During his last days, we used to hear him, Swamiji, chant, "Jai Parabo, Jai Prabhu, sorry, victory to the master, victory to the master, Ma, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva." The deep sound of his voice reverberated through the monastery. This was his last days, and this was Brahmachari Jnana, his reminiscence of Swamiji. So we see these deep bhakti, deep feeling inside of Swamiji, even though he was a knower of Brahman and actually an incarnation of Shiva himself. So this is how we're going to dive now into bhakti. With the idea of taking this non-dual Satchidananda and tie it in the corner of our cloth. And then when we chant the names, we're going to chant the names of the Mas, of Ma Sharda, Ma Kali, Ma Durga, Ma Lakshmi, and Ma Saraswati in this chant. And just remember that all of these beautiful, perfect essence forms comes out of Satchidananda and melts back again into Satchidananda. By our devotion, as Sri Ramakrishna said, these forms appear in the vast, infinite ocean of Satchidananda, and they melt again back into Satchidananda. So we'll work with Bhakti in the way that Swami Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna would have brought us. So we'll do the chant that we have, Jai Shri Durga. It's so simple. It's Om Aim Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Durga, Jai Ma Lakshmi, Jai Ma Saraswati, and then we'll do Jai Ma Sarda. Okay. Om Aim. Yeah, it's a very simple chant. So we'll do this one.
You used to sing their song before.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys remember it. Jai Mata Jai Ma Durga Namo Om Aim Jai Ma Durga Namo Om Aim Jai Ma Durga Jai Ma Durga Jai Ma Durga Namo Jai Ma Lakshmi Namo Jai Ma Lakshmi Namo Jai Ma Lakshmi Jai Ma Lakshmi Jai Ma Lakshmi Om Aim Saraswati Namaha Om Aim Saraswati Namaha Om Aim Saraswati 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 Namaha Jai Ma Sarda Namaha Jai Ma Sarda Jai Ma Sarda Jai Ma Sarda Jai Ma Sarda Okay, so let us continue. So this is Swami Vivekananda. The greatest help to spiritual life is meditation, dhyana. In meditation, we divest ourselves of all material conditions and feel our divine nature. We do not depend upon any external help in meditation. The touch of the soul can paint the brightest color, even in the dingiest places. It can cast a fragrance over the vilest thing. It can make the wicked divine, and all enmity, all selfishness is effaced. The less the thought of the body, the better. For it is the body that drags us down. It is attachment, identification, which makes us miserable. That is the secret. To think that I am the spirit and not the body, and that the whole of this universe, with all its relations, with all its good and with all its evil, is but a series of paintings, scenes on a canvas, of which I am the witness. And that's Swami Vivekananda. Very, very sweet to think in terms of that. This is another little thing about Swamiji story that shows his deep humility of Swamiji towards his friends. Even when he became famous and was worshipped by thousands of devotees at home and abroad, he was the same Naren to them throughout. When in Lahore, Swamiji met his boyhood friend, Motilal, by chance. Motilal, who owned the great Indian circus, was there in connection with a show of his troupe. Having met his friend after a long time, Swamiji plunged into conversation with him. But Motilal felt uneasy. He said, "Brother, how should I address you? As Naren, as Swamiji?" Swamiji burst out laughing and said, "Are you crazy, my dear Moti? Nothing has changed. You are to me the same Moti and I am Naren." Swamiji uttered these words with so much love and tenderness that Motilal was deeply moved and forgot all his diffidence. And this was just a reminiscence of Swamiji by. And here, something by Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. If you find that you cannot drive off these feelings of I, then let it remain as the servant I. There is not much to fear from the ego, which is centered on the thought, I am the servant of God. I am his devotee. Sweets cause dyspepsia, but not sugar candy, which is an exception. The servant I and the eye of a devotee, the eye of a child, each of these is like a line drawn in a stick on the surface of water. This eye does not last long. And this was Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. So this is very sweet. The idea that, we try to understand and fathom this Advaita, that, there is no I, this I can go, but it's not so easy, I suspect, because then more of us would be able to do it. But Sri Ramakrishna gives us some hope that if the I can't be eliminated altogether, just make the rascal the servant of God or the child of God. And that's very, very sweet. Let us do a chant. We'll do a chant, Hymn to Brahma, and it's in the book if you guys want to have that. Hymn to Brahma. This is the hymn that is a temple chant, that is showing the beauty of the unlimited, indivisible Brahman, and associating with the Guru, that the Guru is reflecting all of these things. And we'll be able to, full of bliss, giving joy, transcendent, of higher knowledge, the abode, will no more. So these are the words of this beautiful song, Hymn to Brahman. We'll start with Sanskrit. We'll do a couple of verses. The verse is first in Sanskrit, and then we'll sing it in English. And this is
this one?
Yeah, it's in there also.
Hymn to Brahma.
Yeah, Hymn to Brahma. Yeah, they have. Yeah. So this is a beautiful, beautiful chant. So we can start to visualize ourselves, certainly we're chanting to the Guru as having these qualities, and Brahman and God having these qualities. But if the truth is, what they're telling us is that we also exactly have these qualities. And the more we can start to see this, and the more we affirm this, the more we surrender to this reality, the more this reality will be ours also. But until that time, we can keep the rascal and make it the child of God. So, but this is a beautiful temple chant. So beautiful. Actually, when I was in India last, I told this story to everyone yet, but I was asked to, we were going to use a harmonium from somebody, and we were in Tiruvannamalai, which is a small town in the south, and there weren't very many harmoniums at all. And so we ended up, somebody said, oh, we know somebody. So got in a tuk-tuk, pedal cab. So we went, and I'll tell everyone online. So we went to this temple, and it was a beautiful temple, and a Vishnava priest was there, and he was really sweet. And we just said, you know, the guy said, oh, we want to use your harmonium, and he said, who's going to use it? And they pointed to me and said, he's going to do it. And so he smiled, and he said, okay, well, the harmonium's not here, but it's my only harmonium, and I teach students with this. This is how I make my living. So if you want to borrow it, he was a little bit, you know, apprehensive. He said, I want to hear how you sing first and use the harmonium. So I didn't realize I was getting myself into this situation. So not only were we there, we went to the actual temple itself, which was beautifully carved, a beautiful Rama and Krishna and Hanumanji. There was beautiful murtis and statues all around. We walked inside, and there's the harmonium sitting in the middle of this beautiful temple, and there's a circle of young voice and older priests in white all around. So we go in there, and of course I'm sitting there, and he points to the harmonium, and I had no idea that I was going to be doing this. I was just going to help pick up the harmonium. So he said, "Okay, play something." So I actually sang that song into Brahma in Sanskrit. I didn't sing the English part of it. I just did the Sanskrit. And I looked up kind of towards the end and finished, and there was smiles on everybody's face, and he allowed me to use the harmonium, which was a big honor because this was, very precious to him. So I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that. So that song is going to have even more feel to me now, because it's really beautiful. Mm. Okay.
Are you going to sing more from this book?
Yeah, we're going to do Ramakrishna Sharanam.
Oh.
Yeah, because I know you guys like that one. So here, this is, I thought we'd bring in Anandamoy Ma. If we're talking about Bhakti, we want to use some different ideas. And there's a list of many guidelines that she gave her devotees. But this is I just thought I'd pick a few because it's really sweet when we're talking about Bhakti and chanting. And these are some of the things Ma said. And this is so amazing. With Anandamoy Ma, and everybody who knows her knows this, she's such a combination of Bhakti and Jnana. I mean, she was talking about the highest states of Brahman. Naturally, it was just natural for her. And then also, in the next breath, she'd be talking about this beautiful Bhakti and dual relationship. And that's one thing that I'm always kind of amazed at Ma, when I read about her. I wish I could have met her. Is that she was such a natural combination, like Thakur in a lot of ways, of all states, of this non-dual state as well. You would think Divine Mother, she's an incarnation of Ma, right? But she had the deepest wisdom, just like Thakur got from Ma Kali and Ma Saraswati. So amazing being. So this is some from her. The immutable Brahman and the primeval sound of Om are one and the same as the word Ma. This is interesting. The immutable Brahman and the primeval sound Om are one and the same as the word Ma. So when we chant Ma, 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 it blends into itself like Srimad Krishna said, Ma, Brahma, his Divine Mother was one with the highest Brahman. So they were the same. God's name is He Himself. The name and name are identical. And of course, that's been said. Refuge has to be sought in His name in order to realize Him, whose name is invoked. This is beautiful. With every breath, try to be in communion with Him through His name. So when we do our meditation in a little while, we'll remember that. With every breath, you can do your mantra, or you can have pranayama to be able to get in communion. And she talked about that a lot, actually. I read other places where she talked about using mantras with the breath. If the name that appeals most to you is constantly repeated, you will realize that all names are His names. All forms are His forms. That's beautiful. That's where that blending from one to another becomes natural. Since all names are His indeed, He will let Himself be grasped by any one of them. Furthermore, it will gradually be revealed that He is also without name and without form. Whether with full awareness or in ignorance, whether willingly or unwillingly, whether with faith or doubt, if God's name is adhered to and His image in the mind is sustained, gradually what is to be burnt will be burnt, and what is to be melted will melt. The nature of fire is to convert everything to itself. Similarly, association with His name inevitably enables one to be identified with Him. Take it from me, repetition of His name makes everything possible. God gives us this assurance. If you live with the conviction that God is in closest contact with you, you will gradually discover that there is nothing but God. That's so beautiful. Wow, it's amazing. And we'll finish with this. And this is Sri Krishna, the sayings of Sri Krishna. Differences in the temperaments of a Jnani and a Bhakta. This is quite interesting. The Jnani says, I am he, I am that pure Atman. But the Bhakta declares, all these are his glory. God is attained only when man gets established in one or other of these three attitudes. All this am I. Number 2, all this art thou. Number 3, thou art the master and I am the servant. Just like Hanumanji says, all of this am I in that state. All of this art thou, I'm a part of you. And when I'm separate and you are the master, thou art the master and I am the servant. The Ganges of the knowledge flowing in the heart of a Jnani runs only in one direction. To him, the whole universe is a dream. He always lives in his own self. But the Ganges of love in a devotee's heart does not always run in the same direction. It has its ebb and flow. The devotee laughs, weeps, dances, and sings. He loves to live and enjoy God's presence. In that ocean of bliss, he loves to cast himself, sometimes swimming, sometimes sinking, and again floating, as a block of ice dances in water, tossing up and down. This is Thakur from Krishna. Oh, and this is interesting. This is Paramahansa Yoganandaji. There's so much that he gives in specifics and helpful. As I thought this would be self-analysis. And Paramahansaji says, don't keep your mind engaged in too many activities. Analyze what you can get from them and see if they are really important. Don't waste your time. To read a good book improves you as much more than seeing movies. I often say, if you read for 1 hour, write in your spiritual diary for 2 hours. And if you write for 2 hours, think for 3 hours. And if you think for 3 hours, meditate all the time. No matter where you go, I keep my mind continuously on my soul peace. You too should always point the needle of your attention towards the North Pole of spiritual joy. Then no one can ever disturb your equilibrium. And this is something I'm trying to grasp myself, how to keep spiritual poise and peace in all circumstances, whether, upheavals are going or tragedy for other people or things are going on in our lives. A pure soul and a Jnani or a true Bhakta will have very unruffled mental situation in all of those states. And I'm certainly not there, but I'm really seeing that becomes maybe the most important thing ever, is just have that equilibrium. And they say great souls, there's stories of Brahman and others that were on a horse that was racing, and somehow it got away and was racing down the hill on a huge cliff, and he was just smoking his hubble bubble. He didn't even have any adverse reaction at all. He was just calm until the horse finally was brought under control, and so it's like nothing happened to him. So this is the state of a true knower of Brahman or Jnani, or a true lover of God, is that unruffled peace, be unbroken, be unshaken amongst the crash of breaking worlds, they say in the scriptures. This is a really hard thing. And I think part of it is just to look at our lives and get rid of the things that are not necessarily important to do. The more we crowd things into our lives, the more we schedule things, it's really hard to keep your equilibrium when you're constantly busy and your mind's constantly going. So when you sit down to meditate, it's still going crazy. So I'm finding that I'm taking a surgical knife to my schedule and to my things. Like there's no TV, as you know, in our ashram. You don't watch TV. That's just something you cast away. There's all of these things. It saves a lot of time, number one. And it's wonderful not to have that vibration bringing you down.
Also, it helps not to have those inputs,
Mm-hmm.
TV, if you open TV, who is talking everywhere, all this is coming. It's very difficult to get those are actually become life samskar in next life.
But think about this, maybe even worse are these things.
Yeah.
These are as bad, or your computer. Because what happens with this is it's always by you. So even when you leave the house, you've got this thing. They say people generally look at their phones hundreds of times in a day.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to try to, like, especially when you're meditating or when you're doing things, keep it away from you, or turn it on silent, or put it away, so that energy is away. And when you're sleeping, I think it's, I had a bad habit of keeping it right next to my bed. And so now I'm learning to, put it on silent and keep it away. So this, for the modern age, these are going to be very important things that we need to learn and teach to the young children. Because I found, us older folks, there was times when we didn't have a phone, right? So that was great. And if you go away, turn the TV off, then you truly had silence. And I remember then I would just read, a book, or I'd be in silence and I would think or whatever. A lot of times, if we really think about the reality of the young kids, they don't have those pauses anymore. They don't have any time. A lot of times parents, even the young children, the toddlers, they'll give them a tablet, or they'll give them some kind of a video to look, because they keep quiet then. Even when they're eating, or even when they're doing everything, they never have a moment where they're not engaged somehow. And so this could become a huge problem for the future generations, because they don't have any understanding of what silence and stillness of mind is. And in yoga, it's everything. And it's going to be really hard. So think about how hard it is for us now. Imagine how hard it is for the younger generation. So, we're going to need to really teach them, have times where they're separated from their phones and their computers and their TVs, and, get out to nature and do something to show them that there's another way, another option. So, okay. So we don't want to preach against all this stuff. We're not trying to turn anybody off here, but it's just my observation hanging around with younger people is that, it's hard enough. And then for us, it's creeped into our lives too. So how do we take that surgical knife to cut out things that we can and slice some time where we can be still? And we can't do it just when we sit down to worship or meditate, because it won't work. Our minds will be too engaged still.
For the children, and that's the age, everybody, they go to school, they see their friends, all these, everybody has phones and all this. They're playing video, whatever they're doing, always. I'm using my phone, I cannot type like this,
No,
this. I see some of my grandkids.
Yeah, it's true.
They just do, some of the people, they're constantly doing this.
You're right. And so we have to start thinking about that. If you have kids out in video land there and online, how can we bring them some idea of, Swamiji, and teaching them these meditation techniques are going to be very important. So okay, let's go because they can't hear what you're saying. So let's go into Ramakrishna Sharanam. Then what we'll do is, after that, we'll do our meditation and we'll finish. And if there's any questions after that, we can take them too. And if there's any questions online, just type them into the chat. So we'll do Ramakrishna Sharanam. If you want to have the symbols and all that stuff. I should have told you we were going to do Ramakrishna Sharanam.
That's okay.
Yeah, they want to be able to play some symbols and keep some time with the music. That's wonderful. Yeah, I think everybody knows the words. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Sharanye. Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Kripahi Kevalam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu. Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Sharana gaito ham, Sharana gaito ham, Sharana gaito ham, Vande. Sharana Sri Gurave Namo, Sri Gurave Namo Namo. Namo Sri Gurave Namo, Sri Gurave Namo, Sri Gurave Namo Namo. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Ram Krishna Jaya, Jaya 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 Ram. Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram, Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Kripadi Kevalam, Kripadi Kevalam, Kripadi Kevalam, Sharanye. Kripadi Kevalam, Kripadi Kevalam, Kripadi Kevalam, Sharanye. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Charana Gaitoham, Charana Gaitoham, Charana Gaitoham, Vande. Charana Gaitoham, Charana Gaitoham, Charana Gaitoham, Vande. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya 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 Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam. Krishna. Okay, so let's prepare for our meditation. So, as we said before, if we follow Patanjali's Yoga Sutras in our meditation layout, he talked about yama niyama. This is the do's and don'ts, the things you want to do and the things you don't want to do. If you think about this in the way we were talking about our attention and what we're doing in life, TV and this and that, that's also part of it. So how we're living our life really affects our meditation ability. So we have to think about this yama niyama. How can we make our mind more peaceful generally, so that when we sit to meditate, it's going to be a lot easier then. We don't have to go from, swirling and crazy to. Second thing is that, you have asana, which is the body's control to be able to be still. So, we think of asana and maybe hatha yoga and all the poses. But the idea is just to be able to get the body to be calm, and you can take the attention away from the body, as Swamiji said, and go inside into the internal energy centers to be able to experience something different, a different state of consciousness. So this asana is very, very important. And we'll just be sitting in the chair is fine, but don't have your back against the back of the chair. Have it straight, move forward a little bit on the chair. If you're on the ground, it's different in lotus. But you want to have the back straight, just like there's a string from the base of your spine up to the roof, and have your chin parallel to the floor. Because the spine, they say, is the channel of the energy, as Thakur has described when he had the awakening of the Kundalini going into the chakras and opening each chakra. So that channel is very fine. It's very subtle energies we're talking about in the spine. So the spine being straight, they say, is very, very important. So just see how your shoulders are kind of out. Have your arms, on your lap, on your legs, thighs, somewhere that's comfortable, with palms turned upward. Because we want to bring that energy up the spine, into the spine and up. Instead of going out into the senses, into the thinking mind, go into the spine and up. So this is really key. One of the final things I'll give you, and that really helps me, is our thinking, thoughts. They'll come up and they seem very important, and things will come to you and all these types of things. One of the things that Paramahansa Yoganandaji said that reminded us, and Swamiji also, thoughts are universally rooted. They're not our own. We don't have private thoughts that haven't been thought. They're not unique. They're actually in the ether. And we just tune into those thoughts and they come into our consciousness. This is what the masters say. It's really helpful if you think about it that way. Because if these are our own thoughts and they're coming from some place in us and we're authoring these thoughts, we become attached to them and they become so important to us. But when we realize that there are not really our thoughts, they're universal thoughts that we're tuning into, it gives us a little objectivity that we can put a little space between the thoughts and us. And so when you see thoughts coming and going, it's not so much you're like, that's my thought or that's me. It's really just another external thing you're seeing. Just like somebody would be walking across from this wall, down the floor from you. It's something separate from you. And I found that to be really helpful. When I look at my thoughts and they come and go and whatever, it's like, okay, the thoughts will be there later. Let's just forget about them in meditation. So this is really helpful. I found this is a key. The other thing is then pranayama, after asana. Pranayama is the control of not only the breath, but the prana in the body. And the prana controls everything. Everything that we do, our breath is controlled by prana. Our thoughts are controlled by prana. Our emotions are controlled by prana. The heart, lungs, all of the physical activities and motion are all controlled by prana. If the body's dead and there's no prana in there, there's nothing you can do to pump in food and oxygen to get it alive again. The prana's gone. So pranayama means control of the prana. So the way that the Indian genius has shown us that you can control the prana in a couple of ways, with willpower, but also through breath. So if we use the breath to be able to control the prana, it's very helpful to be able to calm the mind down and to get the body turned, those energies turned inward. Because we want to really, it's important that we understand the next step, and that's pratyahara. Pratyahara is when you actually turn that energy inward. And now it's not going outward into the thoughts, into our senses, into our feelings of our bodies, but it's turned inwards. And you'll feel like the body's becoming a little bit of a numb, like it's an overcoat. It's not really, you're not really aware of it so intensely. And then later on, you'll find that you're not aware of it at all. So there's states when you break into this pratyahara. And this is what we want. And I think it's important for people to understand that that's the state we want to get to. It's like when you're reading a book, if you're really engrossed in a book, people could be telling you something and trying to call you and you won't even hear them. That's the same state of pratyahara that we want to do consciously. All of our attention's on something like this. So this pranayama can get you to pratyahara where all of your attention is just focused on a point. So dhyana. Dhyana meditation, that's what Swamiji talked about. That's when the mind is beyond the body and focused on one point. Dhyana is when it's put into awareness of the self, going into meditation on the self, into divinity. Dhyana, dhyana, and samadhi is that absorption into that reality. So those are the steps of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So when we do this, what we're going to do is a little bit of a simple pranayama. So we're going to breathe in twice through the nose, and for whatever length of time that's comfortable for you, because everybody has different lung capacities. So if it's going to be only for 10 or 8 seconds, then that's fine. So just remember it's 2. Okay, and then whatever length that is, then hold it for an equal length. So and hold, and then exhale, double exhalation through the mouth for an equal length of time. So if it's 8 seconds, it's 8 seconds, 8 seconds, 8 seconds. If it's 10, 10, 10, 10, and so on. 5, 5, 5 if somebody has trouble breathing. As long as it's consistent. And then the first 3 times what we're going to do is we're going to tense the whole body when we breathe in. So, and then we hold that tension for that same length of time, and then we exhale, release all the tension in body, mind, and soul. Let everything go out. This is so helpful. And we'll do that 3 times. By the way, this is something you can do at any time when you're stressed out. It's really helpful. And then the meditation part, the pranayama of what we're going to show you, you can do it anytime, even if you're sitting in a car or a plane, because it's people won't know what you're doing. So the breathing, obviously, you probably won't do, but...
What is the name of this?
It's the Soham meditation.
Soham.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the one that Swami Vivekanandaji alluded to. It's Kashmiri Shaivism is the source of it. But also Yoganandaji teaches one very similar. And it's very powerful, very, very wonderful to give you instant results and something very profoundly, because that stillness you start to feel is very rare. And then you start getting an idea of what that stillness is, and then you crave it more and more. So inhale twice, hold, remember tensing, and then exhale. We'll do it 3 times. Then after the 3rd exhalation, what you want to do is just be the aware observer of the breath. Don't control it in any way. Really don't control your breath. Because once you've exhaled for the 3rd time, after the 3 times we're doing this process of inhaling and exhaling, then all of a sudden it'll stay out for a while, and then by itself, your body will breathe in. And it might not be really deep. It might be deep. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just observe it. And when the breath is coming, you chant so. And when it stops, you don't. You just enjoy the peace. And when it goes out by itself through your nose, and this is normal breathing now. It'll go in and out of your nose this time. Hum. Exhaling, hum. So, hold it. Hum. Exhale. So, hum. So, hum. I am He. This is with every breath we're declaring the truth. I am He. And it's a beautiful, beautiful meditation. And so once you find that this is, and you'll see that the breath will become it might become very shallow and very halting. And it may stop for some time altogether, for long periods of time. That's perfect. That's kind of what we want to achieve, breathlessness. But if you don't, and it's just a slow, beautiful feeling, the more calm you are, the less you'll breathe. The more less rapidly you'll breathe. And they show this with animals. Those animals that breathe the slowest and have the least heartbeat, they live the longest, like tortoises and so on. Rabbits and so on, they have very high breathing rates and heartbeats, and they live the shortest. So this is really, really important. And then once you get to that point of single pointedness, certainly dhyana, where you have that one pointedness, then you can practice any technique that you want. If you have a mantra, if you're initiated with a mantra, you can practice that. If you have other techniques that you want to do, or you can just, what you really want to achieve though is to go into that stillness, go deep and surrender to that stillness, to where everything is gone. And also where your eyes are very important. If your eyes are focused downward, you'll probably go to sleep. If your eyes are looking straight forward, even when they're closed, if they're looking straight forward, that's normal waking consciousness, and your mind will be most active that way. But if you can just focus upward at the point between the eyebrows, even if you're putting your attention other places in your body, but the focus should be here, then you're bringing that energy up the spine into the higher centers. And some of the meditators like to meditate at the point between the eyebrows and be existing there. Some like to focus on their heart. It doesn't matter. Even if you're focused on your heart with your awareness, your eyes can be upraised and upturned. And whatever meditation you get to, you want to get to that stillness. That stillness is that's true meditation. See, even with a mantra, eventually you'll get into that stillness where there is just nothing, no thought, nothing, just that pure stillness, that peace. And in that peace and joy will come other things like joy, love, and then ecstasy, as is what they say. So this is the idea of meditation. So it gives us a fuller picture of what meditation can be. So let's try this. Let's try doing our breathing.
I have a question. When we point to here, our eyes, but eye is closed, do I breathe deep breathe or shallow breathing?
You want, it doesn't matter about your breath is not controlled by the eyes. You're just, if you're putting your attention here,
Mhm.
if you've done your breathing exercise in and out, then just let it be shallow, if it can be. You want it to slow down as slow as possible. So and then if it stops, you stop chanting, obviously, and you just go into that stillness and that peace. And that's what you want. That's what you want. And then you can focus on Dhyana Dhyana Samadhi. Dhyana is that focusing that one-pointed concentration on your Ishta, or whatever you're focusing on in your meditation. If you're non-dualist, then you'll just dissolve everything into that stillness, into that lake of awareness. If you're the Bhakta, then you're going to focus 100% on that Ishta, on that image of divinity that's closest to your heart. So that's the beauty of it, is that you will be completely immersed in that image of Divine Mother or Krishna or Rama Krishna or whoever that you feel closest to. Okay, so let's try this, and then we'll do it for a little while. So we'll breathe in through the nose twice. Remember, we'll just do a short period of time, then we'll hold it, tensing the whole body as we inhale. Hold it for the length of time, and then release all the tension with the exhale. Okay, we'll do it 3 times, and then just watch your breath. Okay, so let's try it. Ready? Exhale. Release all that tension. Inhale, tense. Hold the tension, hold the breath. Exhale. Hold the tension. Release. One more time. Hold. Exhale. And now this time, just let the breath stay out. And when it's of its own accord through your nose, when it comes in, mentally chant so. There's no breath, just let it be. When you exhale, hum. So, keeping the point, focus at the point between the eyebrows. Are there any questions you have?
I have a problem. Like sitting here, keeping the back straight.
Yeah.
It falls. I was thinking, put my hand like that. Is it
You
okay?
You can put your hands anywhere. Like it's
Yeah.
best if you have your upturned, but
Yeah, but I have to.
you might want to also think about putting it like this. Where you're,
falling back.
Huh?
Instead of falling back, I'm just
yeah.
holding this.
You might want to put them on the juncture of your thigh and abdomen. See how I have it here?
Yeah.
You can try that. That's also helpful because that kind of props you up a little bit.
Okay.
So try different things.
Yeah.
And if you absolutely have to, you can put something behind your back, like a little pillow or something just at the lower part of your back.
Yeah.
That's also, you just have to work with your body, especially as you get older. We're not all perfect.
After a while, then back muscle was getting a little bit.
Yeah, we are old now.
What you need to do, make sure you put
But
your.
I feel like to go back, but I didn't go. Yeah.
You want to try to make sure you have your chest out a little bit.
Okay.
So that you'll find that you're more relaxed that way. Because if you're hunched over, it's going to be a lot of tension.
Yeah, that's why it's happening. Tension here. I was thinking, I was feeling to put back, but I didn't.
But a lot of times, if you're hunched forward, that's where the problem lies. So if you really can get, it has to be comfortable for you. Everybody's a little different. Nobody's two bodies, especially.
And you said I can do my mantra. So I was doing that. Yeah.
After you get your focus and you're at peace, then it's really wonderful too. You want to do your mantra.
I think the body goes back and
He said you can
give the support a little bit in the back.
You can put a little something in the back. Yeah, the lower back.
No, the chair itself, the back of the chair gives the support.
You have to work with it. You know your body better than anybody, especially as we get older. Yeah. That's for sure. One of the things you can do if you're going to do mantra, do it with your breath. You can do the mantra with your breath also.
Oh, okay.
That's what Anandamoy Ma recommends, is with somehow coordinating it with the breath so that it's, but it doesn't matter. That's one of the possibilities Ma gives. So the main thing is that 100% focus is there on the mantra. But if you're really at peace, isn't it wonderful?
When I do mantra, I put my mind here.
However you need to. Yeah, but still try to focus the.
Yeah, I was doing that too.
Yeah. But you'll find that you can do your hands. Sometimes you have beads, But what I do, if I'm telling my beads, then I don't put. Eventually, it becomes automatic, and it's just accounting for repetition for it. And I don't put my mind there. I put my mind. Again, it's like the body. You eventually want not to be aware of it, even if you're doing this.
Beat.
Yeah, you don't want to be aware of the body in deep meditation, because if you're so focused and worried about your hands, you're not going to release it. So you want to really be existing in that peace and that stillness.
Yeah, I was trying to do that.
And some people like to focus on their heart. That's fine. There's different forms of meditation. Nothing's wrong if you're used to doing it or your teacher has given you those forms. There's different traditions, and we honor them all, obviously. But these principles really help to be able to do them more deeply, so that you get the benefits that you want. Because a lot of times we're just focused, we're trying to do our mantra and our minds are flying all over the place. We're stressed and it isn't, it doesn't help.
Names come automatic, your mantra comes automatic.
Exactly, yeah.
Once you start automatic, so when you do that, everything else is out of that.
So are there any other questions? Because we have to end the session online here. Any other questions you have?
That's it for today.
Okay, thank you all so much for coming, and thank you for coming online. We appreciate you. Thank you. Okay.